Have you ever laid your head on your pillow, exhausted from a long day, only to find that your mind suddenly refuses to shut down? You stare at the dark ceiling while every worry, every regret, and every anxiety from the day starts playing on a continuous loop. Why is it that the moment our bodies finally stop moving, our minds decide to run a marathon? I remember a season a few years ago when nighttime became my biggest enemy. I was going through a major transition at work, and the financial stress was piling up faster than I could manage. Every night around 2 in the morning, I would jolt awake. My heart would be racing, and a heavy weight would settle right on my chest. I tried everything to fix it. Drinking warm tea, listening to white noise, counting backward from 100. But nothing stopped the spiral of anxious thoughts. I was so desperate for rest that I dreaded the sun going down. One night, completely broken and exhausted, I stopped fighting the insomnia and just surrendered. I realized I was trying to manufacture my own peace instead of receiving the peace that was already promised to me. I had forgotten that sleep is supposed to be a daily reminder that we aren't holding the universe together. God is. That shift in perspective completely changed how I approach my nights, and it showed me that true rest doesn't come from the perfect nighttime routine, but from trusting the one who never sleeps. The first truth we need to anchor our hearts to before we close our eyes is that God is our ultimate shield and sustainer. When everything feels chaotic, we have a promise of protection. Look at Psalm chapter 3, verse 5. It says, "I lie down and sleep, I wake again, because the Lord sustains me." Think about the context of that verse for a second. David didn't write those words while he was lounging in a comfortable palace. He wrote them while he was literally running for his life from his own son Absalom. People were hunting him. His kingdom was falling apart. If anyone had a valid reason to stay awake all night, tossing and turning with anxiety, it was David. Yet he was able to lie down and sleep in the middle of a wilderness surrounded by enemies. How could he possibly do that? Because he knew that his safety didn't depend on the thickness of his walls or the size of his army. His safety depended entirely on God holding him together. We often treat sleep like an act of vulnerability. When we close our eyes, we drop our guard. We can't defend ourselves, answer emails, or solve our problems anymore. But that's exactly the point. Sleep is a daily act of trust. It's us saying to God, "I am stepping off the throne for the next 8 hours. I can't manage my life right now, but I know you can." When you feel that evening anxiety creeping in, picture God physically standing guard at the door of your mind, allowing you to finally let go. The second truth to remember when you're struggling to find peace at night is that your mind is a battlefield, and God has given you the weapon of His peace to guard it. A lot of times, the quietness of the night amplifies the loudness of our insecurities. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7 tells us, "Don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." I love that word, guard. In the original language, it was a military term used to describe soldiers standing watch over a city gate to protect it from enemy invasion. When you hand your worries over to God through prayer, He posts His perfect peace as a literal sentry at the door of your mind. Imagine a heavily armored guard standing right outside the door of your bedroom, refusing to let any anxious thought, any fear of the future, or any guilt from the past cross the threshold. That's what the peace of God does for you. It doesn't always make sense to our logical minds. You might look at your bank account, your health report, or your broken relationships and think, "I have every reason to panic right now." But God's peace transcends our human understanding. It bypasses our logic and settles deep into our souls, whispering that no matter what tomorrow brings, He is already there waiting for us, and He has it completely under control. This brings us to the third and most powerful truth. God is incredibly near to the brokenhearted, especially in the lonely hours of the night. Sometimes the reason we can't sleep isn't just anxiety, but a deep, profound sadness. Maybe you're grieving the loss of someone you love, or mourning a dream that didn't work out. The night can feel so isolating, like you're the only person awake in the entire world carrying this heavy burden. But you're never truly alone in the dark. Psalm chapter 34, verse 18 promises us, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit." When the house is completely quiet and the tears start to fall, that isn't a sign of your weakness. It's an invitation for God's presence. He doesn't ask you to clean up your emotions before you come to Him. He sits with you in the messy, painful reality of your pain. Think of a mother sitting by the bed of a sick child in the middle of the night. She doesn't leave the room when the child cries. She leans in closer. She wipes their tears. She stays right there until they find rest. That's exactly how God responds to your midnight heartache. He's leaning in. He's collecting every single